The great meeting hall of the Galactic Council filled with strange sounds as alien beings from across the galaxy took their seats. The massive room was made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light, and in the center stood a huge table that could change shape to fit any creature that needed to use it. Today, like many days before, one seat remained empty. Ambassador Zethkar from the Valorian Empire stood up on his four legs and looked around the room with his large yellow eyes. His people looked like tall blue lizards with forearms, and they had been part of the council for over 3,000 years. He was not happy, and everyone could see it in the way his arms moved. "Friends and fellow council members," Zethkar said in a voice that sounded angry, "once again the humans from that small planet they call Earth have decided not to come to our meeting." He pointed one of his forearms at the empty chair that was meant for the Earth representative. "This is the 7th time in a row they have not shown up." The other aliens in the room started making noises that sounded like laughter, but each species laughed in their own way. Some clicked their teeth, others made buzzing sounds, and a few just changed colors on their skin. High Counselor Vextana was one of the most important members of the council. She looked like a giant bug with 6 legs and wings that sparkled in the light. Her people came from worlds where millions of her kind lived together like bees in a hive. She moved her mouthparts in a way that showed she was not pleased. "The humans think they are too good for us now," she said in a voice that sounded like wind blowing through metal tubes. "When we first let them join our council 50 years ago, they seemed so happy and grateful. Now they act like they do not need us anymore." An alien that looked like a large gray rock with gems for eyes slowly moved forward. This was Counselor Morden from the Crystal Worlds. His people lived for thousands of years and moved very slowly, so when he spoke, everyone listened. "In my long life, I have seen many young species join our council," Morden said, his voice deep and echoing. "Most of them learned to respect the wisdom of those who came before them." The humans seemed to have forgotten this lesson. Admiral Krex from the Draconian Fleet was next to speak. He looked like what humans might call a dragon, but he walked on 2 legs and wore a military uniform covered in medals. His people were known as great warriors who had fought in many space battles. "My ships patrol the areas near human space," Admiral Krex said, smoke coming from his nose as he talked. "Our sensors show that the humans have been building more warships lately. Nothing that should worry us, of course. Their technology is still very basic compared to ours." Zethkar made a sound that was like laughing but meaner. "Let them play with their little toy ships. When they finally realize that they need our protection from space pirates and other dangers, they will come back to us. They will beg us to forgive them and let them stay in the council." What none of these powerful aliens knew was that a human ship was hiding very close to their meeting place. The ship was called the EDS Phantom, and it was built with special technology that made it invisible to most sensors. On the bridge of this ship, Captain John Mitchell sat in his chair and listened to every word the aliens were saying. Captain Mitchell was a tall man with brown hair and serious blue eyes. He had been in the Earth military for 20 years and had never seen anything like what he was hearing now. The aliens were talking about his people like they were children who needed to be taught a lesson. "Are you getting all of this, Lieutenant Chen?" Captain Mitchell asked the woman sitting at the communications station. Lieutenant Amy Chen looked up from her control panel and nodded. "Yes, sir, every word is being recorded and sent back to Earth Command. They are not going to like what they hear." The captain watched the aliens on his main screen as they continued to talk about Earth like it was not important. He knew things that these aliens did not know, and he wondered what they would think if they knew the truth about what humans had been doing for the past 2 years. Back in the council meeting, more aliens were standing up to complain about Earth. A creature that looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles spoke in a voice that sounded like singing. "The humans have missed important votes about trade routes and defense agreements," the jellyfish alien said. "How can we trust them to be good partners if they will not even come to meetings? Maybe we should send them a message they cannot ignore," suggested an alien that looked like a walking tree with glowing fruit hanging from its branches. "We could stop protecting their ships when they travel through our space." Zethkar's 4 arms moved in excitement as he heard this idea. "Yes, that might teach them some respect. Without our protection, human merchant ships would be easy targets for pirates and raiders." Admiral Krex stood up again, his dragon-like head moving as he looked around the room. "I have heard reports that the humans claim to have found some kind of threat in the outer regions of the galaxy. They say there are dangerous aliens coming from beyond our borders. The room filled with the sounds of alien laughter again. High Counselor Vextana's wings buzzed as she made fun of the idea. "The humans see monsters in every shadow," she said. "They have only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. We have been exploring the galaxy for millions of years. If there was a real threat out there, we would know about it." Counselor Morden's gem eyes glowed brighter as he spoke. "The outer regions have been empty for as long as any of us can remember. The humans are trying to make themselves seem important by creating imaginary dangers." Captain Mitchell clenched his fists as he listened to the aliens dismiss the warnings that Earth had been trying to give them. He knew that somewhere in the dark space beyond the galaxy, something terrible was moving toward them all. The humans had seen it, had proof of it, but these arrogant aliens would not listen. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen said quietly, "Earth Command is asking if we should reveal ourselves and try to warn them directly." Captain Mitchell shook his head. "No, our orders are clear. We observe and report. If they will not listen to our ambassadors, they certainly will not listen to a spy ship." The council meeting continued for several more hours, with alien after alien standing up to complain about Earth's behavior. They made plans to punish the humans for missing meetings and talked about how they might force Earth to show more respect. None of them seemed worried about the warnings of danger that human scouts had been trying to share. As the meeting finally ended and the aliens began to leave, Captain Mitchell knew that he had important information to take back to Earth. The galaxy's most powerful leaders had no idea what was coming, and they were too proud to listen to warnings from a species they thought was beneath them. The EDS Phantom quietly slipped away from the council station and jumped into hyperspace, carrying news that would change everything. 3 days after the council meeting where the aliens had complained about Earth's absence, a human ship finally arrived at the Great Space Station. The ship was called the EDS Harmony, and it carried the most important human diplomat in the galaxy. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez had been Earth's voice in the Galactic Council for 5 years, and she knew exactly how these aliens thought and acted. Lisa was a woman in her 40s with black hair and brown eyes that missed nothing. She had learned to speak 12 different alien languages and understood the customs of dozens of different species. Today she wore her best diplomatic uniform, but she was not here to make friends. She had a job to do, and she planned to do it whether the aliens liked it or not. The space station was huge, bigger than most cities on Earth. It floated in empty space between several star systems, built by the Council to be neutral ground where all species could meet safely. Ships from hundreds of different worlds docked at the station every day, bringing diplomats, traders, and travelers from across the galaxy. As Lisa's ship docked, she could see alien security guards waiting for her. They did not look happy. 2 of them were tall blue creatures with 4 arms like Ambassador Zethkar. The others were different species, but they all had the same look on their faces that said they thought humans were trouble. "Ambassador Rodriguez," said the lead security guard in the universal translator, voice that all aliens used when talking to humans. "You are to come with us immediately. The council leaders are waiting." Lisa followed the guards through the station's corridors, passing aliens of every shape and size imaginable. Some walked on legs, others floated in the air, and a few rolled along the floor like living boulders. Most of them stopped to stare at the human woman as she passed. Humans were still new to galactic society, and many aliens had never seen one in person. The guards led Lisa to a special meeting room that was much smaller than the main council chamber. Inside, 5 of the most powerful aliens in the galaxy sat waiting for her. She recognized them all from her diplomatic training. Zethkar of the Valorians, High Counselor Vextana of the Hive Worlds, Admiral Krex of the Draconian Fleet, Counselor Morden of the Crystal Worlds, and Trade Minister Kelnara of the Merchant Coalition. "Ambassador Rodriguez," Zethkar began. His 4 arms crossed in front of his chest in a gesture that meant anger in his culture. "Earth's behavior has become unacceptable. You will explain why your people have ignored 7 mandatory council sessions." Lisa stood straight and looked each alien in the eyes, even though some of them had very strange eyes indeed. She had practiced this moment many times, knowing that how she handled it could change the future of human-alien relations. "Honorable council members," she said in a calm, steady voice, "Earth has not been ignoring the council. We have been dealing with matters of galactic security that are far more important than trade disputes and territory arguments." High Counselor Vexitana's bug-like head tilted to one side, and her wings made a buzzing sound that meant she was amused. "Galactic security? What could humans possibly know about such things? Your species has barely learned to travel between stars. Lisa reached into her bag and pulled out a small device that projected images in the air. With the push of a button, a three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared between her and the alien leaders. Red dots marked dozens of locations near the outer edge of known space. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected massive energy signatures in these regions, Lisa explained, pointing to the red dots. The patterns suggest organized fleets of unknown ships moving toward Council space. We estimate their arrival time at approximately 6 weeks. Admiral Krex made a sound like laughing, but it came out as smoke and growling noises. Unknown ships? Young human, my fleets patrol those regions regularly. There is nothing out there but empty space and cosmic dust. With respect, Admiral, Lisa replied. Your patrols do not go as far as our monitoring stations. We have been tracking these signals for 8 months. They are getting stronger and closer. Counselor Morden's crystal body glowed brighter as he spoke in his slow, deep voice. In 3,000 years of galactic civilization, no threat has ever come from the outer regions. Why should we believe that changes now? Lisa touched her control device again, and the holographic display changed to show detailed sensor readings and energy patterns. The data was complex, but it clearly showed something large moving through space in organized formations. Because the evidence is right here in front of you, she said. These are not natural phenomena or space debris. These are artificial energy signatures from advanced technology. Someone or something is coming, and they are bringing enough firepower to threaten every world in Council space. Trade Minister Kelnara was a serpent-like creature with scales that changed color depending on her mood. Right now they were showing colors that meant she was skeptical and annoyed. Even if we believed your data, she said, her forked tongue flicking out as she spoke, what exactly do you expect the Council to do about it? Send our entire fleet to investigate shadows and sensor ghosts? We expect the Council to take the threat seriously, Lisa answered. Earth requests permission to deploy our full military assets to investigate and prepare defenses against this potential invasion. The 5 aliens looked at each other and made various sounds that were probably laughter. Sethkar's yellow eyes gleamed with amusement as he spoke. Your full military assets? Human, your entire fleet consists of perhaps 300 ships. Most of our individual member species have larger navies than your entire planet. Lisa's expression did not change, but inside she was thinking about secrets that these aliens could not imagine. Our military capabilities may surprise you. We have been preparing for this threat longer than you know. The only threat here is human arrogance, Vextana said, her mandibles clicking together. You make wild claims about invisible enemies to make yourself seem important. The Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for thousands of years without help from your species. Admiral Krex stood up from his chair, his dragon-like form towering over the human ambassador. The Council's decision is final. Earth will not be authorized to deploy military forces beyond your own solar system. Any attempts to do so will be considered an act of aggression against Council authority. Lisa looked each alien in the eyes again, her voice becoming harder and more serious. I strongly advise you to reconsider. When this threat arrives, you will need every ship and every weapon you can get. Earth is offering to help protect the galaxy, not threaten it. The galaxy does not need protection from imaginary monsters, Sethkar replied. What it needs is for young species like humanity to learn their place and show proper respect for their elders. Counselor Morden's gem eyes dimmed as he spoke. The Council's patience with Earth's behavior is limited. You will attend the next 3 sessions without fail, or face suspension from all Council privileges. Your trading rights, your travel permits, and your diplomatic protections will all be revoked. Furthermore, added Vextana, Earth will cease all military activities beyond your solar system immediately. Any human warships found in Council space without permission will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. Lisa stood silent for a moment, knowing that anything she said now would only make the aliens more angry. These creatures had ruled the galaxy for so long that they could not imagine being wrong about anything. Their pride and arrogance would not let them admit that a young species like humanity might know something they did not. The Council has made its position clear, she finally said. I will report your decision to Earth government. As the alien leaders dismissed her and the guards prepared to escort her back to her ship, Lisa activated a small communication device hidden in her uniform. The signal was encrypted and sent on a frequency that alien sensors could not detect. "Phoenix Base, this is Ambassador Rodriguez," she whispered into the tiny microphone. "Package delivery unsuccessful. The Council refuses to authorize defensive preparations. Proceed to Phase 2 of the contingency plan." The response came back immediately in a voice she recognized as General Robert Hayes, the head of Earth Defense Command. "Understood, Ambassador. Phase 2 is already in motion. Good luck." As Lisa walked back to her ship, she thought about what was coming. The aliens had no idea how wrong they were about Earth's military capabilities. For the past 2 years, while the Council had been holding meetings and making speeches, human engineers and scientists had been working around the clock on projects that would change galactic warfare forever. The EDS Harmony undocked from the station and jumped into hyperspace, carrying news that would seal the fate of the Galactic Council. Behind them, the alien leaders returned to their chambers, confident that they had put the troublesome humans in their place. None of them noticed the small human monitoring devices that Ambassador Rodriguez had left behind, or the fact that every word of their conversation was being transmitted to hidden receivers throughout Council space. Earth was watching, Earth was listening, and Earth was preparing for a war that the aliens could not imagine. In the outer regions of the galaxy, the unknown threat continued its approach, unaware that one small planet had noticed their coming and was ready to fight. Admiral Steve Carter stood on the bridge of the EDS Watchdog, one of Earth's most advanced deep space monitoring vessels, staring at the sensor displays that showed something no human had ever seen before. The ship was positioned at the very edge of known galactic space, far beyond where any Council patrol had ever traveled. Here, in the cold darkness between galaxies, something massive was moving toward them. Steve was a veteran of 30 years in Earth's space forces. He had gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many battles, but nothing had prepared him for what his sensors were showing him now. The readings were so incredible that he had ordered his crew to check and double-check every instrument 3 times. "Captain Peters, give me the final count," Steve said to his intelligence officer, a sharp woman with red hair who had been tracking enemy movements for the past 6 months. Captain Helen Peters looked up from her console, her face pale with worry. "Sir, we are tracking 10,347 vessels of unknown design. Each ship is larger than anything in the Council fleet. Energy readings suggest weapons technology that is at least 50 years more advanced than our best estimates." The main screen showed a tactical display of the outer rim, with thousands of red dots arranged in perfect military formations. The alien fleet moved with precision that spoke of advanced artificial intelligence and millions of years of warfare experience. Each ship was a dark, angular thing that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Walsh, the ship's navigation officer, spoke up from his station. "Admiral, at their current speed, the lead elements will reach the first Council colonies in 72 hours. The main fleet will arrive approximately 6 hours later." Steve activated the ship's long-range communication array, knowing that this message would change everything. "All stations, this is Admiral Carter aboard the EDS Watchdog. Transmit Priority Alpha Emergency Alert to Earth Defense Command, and copy all tactical data to the Galactic Council emergency frequencies." The communication burst traveled faster than light, carrying with it detailed sensor readings, tactical assessments, and confirmation of humanity's worst fears. Within minutes, the signal reached both Earth and the Council station, triggering emergency protocols that had been prepared but never used. On Earth, President Amanda Foster was woken from sleep by her military aide. She had been expecting this call for months, but it still sent a chill down her spine when it finally came. Within 20 minutes, she was in the underground command center beneath the Capitol, surrounded by the highest-ranking military officers on the planet. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Foster said as she looked around the room at the faces of Earth's military leadership, "the threat we have been preparing for has arrived. General Hayes, what is the status of our defensive preparations?" General Robert Hayes was a big man with white hair and scars from battles fought in Earth's early space conflicts. He stood in front of a massive display screen that showed the positions of human forces throughout the galaxy. "Madam President, all defensive fleets are in position and ready for combat operations. Operation Lighthouse is proceeding on schedule. Our deep space monitoring network has been tracking the enemy for 8 months, and we have detailed intelligence on their capabilities and tactics. At the same time, the Galactic Council's emergency alert systems activated throughout their space station. Automated messages went out to every member species, calling for an immediate emergency session to address the crisis. However, when the council members read the source of the alert, many of them dismissed it as another human attempt to gain attention. The council chamber filled more slowly than usual, with many delegates arriving late or sending junior representatives instead of coming themselves. When Ambassador Zethkar read the human warning message aloud to the assembly, the reaction was exactly what Earth had expected. Massive hostile fleet approaching from Galactic Rim, Zethkar read in a mocking tone. Estimated 10,000 vessels with superior technology. Immediate council response required. Earth Defense Command stands ready to assist. The chamber erupted in the sounds of alien laughter. High Counselor Vextana's wings buzzed with amusement as she addressed the assembly. The humans grow more desperate in their attempts to seem important, she said. 10,000 ships? Their entire fleet barely numbers in the hundreds. This is obviously a fabrication designed to make us depend on them for protection. Admiral Krex's scaled features twisted into what his species considered a smile. Perhaps we should send a single patrol vessel to investigate these phantom invaders. That should be more than enough to deal with whatever cosmic debris the humans have mistaken for a fleet. Trade Minister Kelnara's scales shifted to colors that indicated she was annoyed. The humans interrupt our legitimate business with fairy tales and ghost stories. I motion that we formally censure Earth for wasting the Council's time with false emergency alerts. Unknown to the Council, the first Outer Rim colonies were already under attack. The Zarathi Collective, a machine intelligence that had evolved beyond the edge of the galaxy over millions of years, had finally decided that organic life forms were a threat that needed to be eliminated. Their technology was so advanced that Council weapons could not even scratch their hull armor. The mining colony on Kepler 442b was the first to die. The colonists were a peaceful species called the Manthari, who looked like large butterflies with crystalline wings. They had lived on the planet for 300 years, growing crops and mining rare metals for the Council's industrial worlds. When the Zarathi ships arrived, the Manthari tried to send a distress signal, but their communications were jammed by technology they could not understand. The attack lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the entire colony was gone, reduced to ash and melted metal. The second target was a Council military outpost on the edge of Draconian space. Admiral Krex's own nephew, Commander Vextok, was in charge of the station's defenses. The outpost had shields that could stop any known weapon and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. The Zarathi ships appeared without warning, their dark hulls barely visible against the blackness of space. Commander Vextok ordered his gunners to open fire, but their weapons had no effect. The energy beams simply disappeared when they hit the enemy ships, absorbed by some kind of technology that turned the attacks into nothing. The Zarathi response was swift and terrible. Beams of pure energy cut through the station's shields like they were made of paper. The massive defensive platform, which had protected that region of space for 200 years, was destroyed in less than 3 minutes. Back on the EDS Watchdog, Admiral Carter and his crew watched the tactical displays as red dots marked the locations of destroyed Council installations. Each dot represented thousands of lives lost and the failure of technology that the aliens had thought was invincible. "Sir," Captain Peters reported, "we are receiving fragmentary distress signals from 17 different Council installations. All of them report the same thing: weapons ineffective, shields useless, and enemy ships that seem to be immune to everything they throw at them." Lieutenant Commander Walsh looked up from his navigation console with an expression of grim determination. "Admiral, the enemy fleet is accelerating. New estimated time to the core Council worlds is 48 hours. Steve Carter had seen enough wars to know when a situation was hopeless for conventional forces. The Council's military had been designed to fight other organic species with similar technology. They had no experience dealing with an enemy that had evolved beyond their understanding. "Prepare a second priority alpha message," Steve ordered. "Send it directly to Earth Defense Command with full tactical analysis. Tell them the Council forces are being destroyed faster than we estimated. We need to accelerate our timeline." The message raced across space toward Earth, where military planners were already adjusting their strategies based on the incoming reports. The plan that humanity had spent 2 years developing was about to be put to the ultimate test. On the bridge of the EDS Watchdog, Admiral Carter looked out at the stars and thought about the irony of the situation. The aliens who had laughed at human warnings were now dying because of their arrogance. In less than 2 days, the survivors would learn what humanity had really been doing, while the Council held its meetings and made its speeches. The Zarathi fleet continued its advance, confident that nothing in this galaxy could stop them. They had destroyed every defensive position they encountered with ease, and their sensors showed that the remaining organic civilizations had no weapons capable of threatening them. What the machines did not know was that one species in this galaxy had been preparing specifically for them. While the Council had been dismissing human warnings, Earth scientists and engineers had been developing weapons and tactics designed to fight an enemy exactly like the Zarathi. The real war was about to begin. The first confirmed reports of the Outer Rim attacks reached the Galactic Council chamber exactly 48 hours after they had dismissed Earth's warning as human propaganda. The emergency alerts came flooding in so fast that the Council's communication systems could barely keep up with them all. Interim Council Leader Morden stood at the center of the chamber, his crystal body pulsing with stress patterns that made him look like a broken rainbow. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced by something approaching panic as he read report after report of destroyed colonies and military outposts. "Emergency session is now in order," Morden announced, his deep voice echoing through the crystal chamber. "We have lost contact with 23 Outer Rim installations, 4 military bases, and 6 complete patrol fleets. All attempts to re-establish communication have failed." The chamber's atmosphere had completely changed from the arrogant confidence of just 2 days before. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats, but instead of the usual political posturing and casual dismissal of problems, there was genuine fear in the air. High Counselor Vexitana's compound eyes darted nervously as she accessed her species' military network through her neural implants. The Hive Worlds maintained one of the largest fleets in Council space. With thousands of ships protecting their vast territories, the Hive World's 3rd Defense Fleet has gone silent, she reported, her mandibles clicking with stress. Admiral Kektar's flagship was leading a patrol of our best warships when they encountered the attackers. The last transmission we received was a request for immediate reinforcements. Ambassador Zethkar stood on his 4 legs, but his usual commanding presence was replaced by barely controlled worry. The Valorian Empire had built its reputation on military might, and their forces were considered among the most advanced in the galaxy. The Imperial Battle Group 7 engaged the unknown enemy near the Zerion system, he reported. Our weapons had no effect on their vessels. The enemy ships absorbed our energy weapons completely and destroyed our entire fleet in less than 10 minutes. Trade Minister Kelnara's scales had turned colors that indicated extreme distress. Her serpent-like body coiled and uncoiled as she spoke about the economic implications of the attacks. 17 mining colonies have been completely destroyed, she said, her forked tongue flickering with anxiety. The production centers that supply raw materials for half the galaxy are gone. Even if we stop this enemy, the economic damage will take decades to repair. It was at this moment that Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez entered the chamber. She walked calmly to the human delegation seat, which had been empty for so many meetings that dust had begun to collect on it. Her expression was serious but not surprised, as if she had been expecting this moment for a long time. The alien delegates turned to look at her with a mixture of hope, fear, and residual pride. Many of them remembered how they had laughed at her warnings just days before, and now they were faced with the reality that she had been right about everything. Zethkar was the first to speak, his forearms gesturing in a way that showed he was trying to maintain his dignity while asking for help. "Ambassador Rodriguez," he began, his voice lacking its usual condescension, "it appears that Earth's intelligence regarding Outer Rim threats was more accurate than we initially assessed. The Council requires immediate consultation on the nature of these attackers and potential defensive strategies." Lisa nodded calmly as she activated her holographic projector. The device displayed detailed technical specifications, tactical analysis, and combat footage that made the alien delegates gasp in shock. "The enemy is known as the Zarathi Collective," she explained in a steady voice. "They are artificial intelligences that evolved beyond the galactic rim over approximately 3 million years. Their technology is based on energy absorption and redirection, which is why your conventional weapons are ineffective against them." The holographic display showed Zarathi ships in action, demonstrating how they could absorb energy weapons and use that power to strengthen their own attacks. The footage came from human reconnaissance drones that had been observing the enemy for months. Counselor Morden's crystal structure brightened as he studied the technical data. How did Earth acquire such detailed information about these entities? Our own intelligence services had no knowledge of their existence. Earth has been conducting deep space reconnaissance operations in the Outer Rim for over 18 months, Lisa replied. While the Council was holding meetings, our scouts were gathering intelligence on the threat that we knew was coming. Admiral Krex's dragon-like head lowered in what might have been shame. Our patrol routes never extended beyond the established territorial boundaries. We assumed that if there was danger in the outer regions, our sensors would detect it from a safe distance. Your sensors were designed to detect known technology, Lisa explained. The Zarathi use quantum phase energy signatures that are invisible to conventional detection methods. Earth developed specialized monitoring equipment specifically to track them. High Counselor Vexitana's wings buzzed nervously as she asked the question that was on everyone's mind. What does Earth require in exchange for sharing this intelligence and assisting in our defense? Lisa's expression remained neutral, but there was steel in her voice as she delivered Earth's conditions. Complete operational command of the Joint Defense Fleet, unrestricted access to all Council military resources and manufacturing facilities, and permanent voting rights on the Security Council with veto, power over military decisions. The chamber erupted in shocked protests from delegates who could not believe that a junior species was making demands of the galactic powers, but their outrage was quickly silenced as another wave of emergency alerts flooded the communication channels. The Saushathi main fleet has reached the Middle Rim, announced a technician from the Council's Military Coordination Center. They are moving faster than our projections indicated. Estimated time to the core worlds is now 18 hours. Trade Minister Kelnara's scales shifted to colors that indicated desperate fear. The core worlds contain over 90% of the galaxy's population. If the enemy reaches them with the same weapons they used on our outer defenses, the casualties will be in the billions. Zethkar looked around the chamber at his fellow council members, seeing the same expression of helpless terror on every face. Their fleets were being destroyed, their weapons were useless, and their greatest military minds had no idea how to fight an enemy that could absorb their attacks and turn them into nothing. The Council accepts Earth's conditions, he said quietly, his forearms drooping in defeat. What do you need from us? Lisa activated another holographic display, this one showing ship positions and tactical formations that covered half the galaxy. Earth Defense Command has been preparing for this scenario for 2 years. Our forces are already in position to begin defensive operations, but we will need full cooperation from all Council fleets. What forces? Asked Admiral Krex, his voice filled with confusion. Earth's total fleet strength is estimated at fewer than 300 vessels. How can such a small force make a difference against 10,000 enemy ships? Lisa smiled for the first time since entering the chamber, and there was something in that smile that made the alien delegates feel both hopeful and nervous. Admiral, she said, Earth's fleet strength has been significantly underestimated by Council intelligence services. In approximately 6 hours, you will see exactly what humanity has been building while you were holding meetings. As if summoned by her words, the Council's long-range sensors began detecting massive energy signatures throughout the galaxy. Ships were emerging from hyperspace near every major population center, but these were not the small human vessels that the aliens expected. Unknown vessels are appearing in our space, reported the sensor technician, his voice filled with wonder. Energy signatures indicate advanced human technology, but the number of contacts is impossible. Our sensors must be malfunctioning. Lisa stood and gathered her equipment, preparing to leave the chamber and take her place in the command center that would coordinate the galaxy's defense. Your sensors are working perfectly, she told the stunned alien delegates. Earth's true fleet strength is about to be revealed. I suggest you prepare your remaining forces to receive new tactical orders from Human Command. As she walked toward the exit, the chamber's main display screen activated, showing a real-time tactical map of the galaxy. Thousands of green dots were appearing throughout Council space, each one representing a human warship that had been hidden and waiting for this moment. The age of alien supremacy in the galaxy was ending, and the age of human leadership was about to begin. Admiral Jack Harrison stood on the bridge of the EDS Sovereign, the largest warship ever built by human hands, watching as the final elements of Earth's hidden fleet emerged from hyperspace around the besieged Council worlds. The massive view screen showed a sight that no alien in the galaxy had ever imagined possible. Thousands upon thousands of human warships materializing out of empty space. Jack was a veteran commander who had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. He was 55 years old with silver hair and eyes that had seen the rise of humanity from a single planet species to the secret guardians of galactic civilization. Today, all of that preparation would finally be put to the test. Fleet Admiral. All task forces have reported successful deployment, announced Commander Kate Sullivan from her position at the communications station. She was a young officer with brown hair and sharp intelligence who had helped plan many of the tactical formations now surrounding alien worlds. We have 4,736 vessels ready for combat operations. The number sent shockwaves through every alien monitoring station in the galaxy. For years, the Galactic Council's intelligence services had estimated Earth's total fleet strength at fewer than 300 ships. The reality was staggering beyond their wildest calculations. Humanity had secretly built the largest military fleet in galactic history, while the aliens had been dismissing them as primitive newcomers. Captain Ron Davis commanded the massive carrier EDS Liberty, a ship so large that it could launch over 1,000 fighter craft from its internal bays. His vessel was positioned near the Council's primary defensive line, ready to provide air support for the coming battle. Council Defense Command. This is Earth Task Force Alpha, Captain Davis transmitted to the Alien Coordination Center. We are deploying fighter screens around your remaining defensive positions. Please transmit current tactical situation and enemy approach vectors. From the Liberty's launch base, wave after wave of advanced human fighters poured into space. Each fighter was sleek and fast, built with technology that had been developed specifically to counter Zarathi capabilities. The pilots had trained for months using captured enemy technology and simulated combat scenarios. High Counselor. Vextana watched from the Council Station's observation deck as the human fleet took defensive positions around her homeworld. Her compound eyes could barely process what she was seeing. Ships that were larger and more advanced than anything the Hive worlds had ever produced. How is this possible? She whispered to Ambassador Rodriguez, who had joined the alien leaders to coordinate the defense. Where did they build so many ships without our knowledge? Lisa smiled grimly as she pointed to the tactical displays showing human fleet positions. While the Council was holding meetings in this station, Earth was building shipyards in empty star systems that your patrols never visited. While you were debating trade agreements, we were preparing for the war that we knew was coming. The Zarathi Collective's advanced fleet consisted of nearly 2,000 vessels, each one a technological marvel that had easily overwhelmed every Council force it had encountered. Their dark ships moved in perfect formation, confident that nothing in this primitive galaxy could threaten them. But as they approached the new defensive line, they encountered something that their million-year-old artificial intelligence had not anticipated. Organized resistance from a force that understood their capabilities and had prepared specifically to counter them. Admiral Harrison coordinated the defense from his flagship, his tactical displays showing the intricate dance of thousands of ships moving in perfect synchronization. Human vessels had been positioned in overlapping fields of fire, with specialized weapons designed to disrupt Zarathi energy absorption systems. All units, implement Pattern Omega, Admiral Harrison ordered, his voice carrying across the communication channels to every human ship in the fleet. Focus concentrated fire on their command vessels. Remember your training and trust your equipment. Earth's fleet had spent over a year training for this exact enemy. Every weapon system had been tested against captured Zarathi technology. Every tactical formation had been designed to exploit weaknesses that human scientists had discovered through careful analysis of enemy capabilities. The first wave of Zarathi ships expected another easy victory like the ones they had achieved against Council forces. Instead, they met concentrated firepower from human vessels that had anticipated their every tactical move and prepared countermeasures for their advanced technology. The human weapons were different from anything the galaxy had seen before. Instead of pure energy beams that the Zarathi could absorb, Earth ships fired projectiles that carried electromagnetic pulse warheads designed to disrupt artificial intelligence systems. The effect was immediate and devastating. Zarathi ships that had seemed invincible suddenly found their systems failing as electromagnetic interference scrambled their quantum processors. Their perfect formations broke apart as individual vessels lost coordination with the collective intelligence that guided them. Enemy lead elements are showing system failures, reported Commander Sullivan from her station. EMP warheads are disrupting their coordination networks. They are beginning to operate as individual units rather than a collective force. Captain Davis launched the second wave of fighters from the Liberty, these ones carrying specialized torpedoes that had been developed from studying Zarathi technology. The torpedoes were designed to phase shift through enemy defenses and detonate inside their hulls, bypassing the energy absorption systems that made them seem invincible. Council Command. This is Admiral Harrison, the fleet commander transmitted to the stunned alien observers. First phase of defensive operations is proceeding successfully. Enemy advance has been halted and their coordination systems are compromised. In the observation deck of the Council station, the alien leaders watched in amazement as the supposedly unstoppable Zarathi fleet was systematically destroyed by human tactics and weapons they had never seen before. Ship after ship of the invasion force exploded under precise fire from vessels that seemed to know exactly where to hit them. Zethkar approached Ambassador Rodriguez with all four of his arms, held in a gesture of formal respect that his species reserved for acknowledged military superiors. Ambassador, he said quietly, the Council offers its most sincere apologies for our previous dismissal of Earth's warnings and capabilities. We have clearly underestimated both the threat and your people's ability to respond to it. Trade Minister Kel Nara's scales had changed to colors that indicated awe and gratitude. The economic calculations alone are staggering. The resources required to build such a fleet in secret would have bankrupted most civilizations. How did Earth manage such an undertaking? Lisa watched the tactical displays as more Zarathi ships fell to human weapons. Earth has advantages that other species lack. Our industrial capacity, our ability to work together toward common goals, and our willingness to sacrifice for future generations. We saw this threat coming and we prepared for it, while others chose to ignore the warning signs. Admiral Krex had been silent throughout the battle, watching his own fleet's failures being corrected by human tactics and technology. Finally, he spoke in a voice filled with grudging respect. Your species has not only saved our worlds, he said, but has demonstrated military capabilities that exceed our own. The galaxy owes Earth a debt that can never be fully repaid. As the last of the Zarathi advance fleet was destroyed, Admiral Harrison prepared his forces for the next phase of the battle. Long-range sensors showed that the main enemy fleet was still approaching, and while the first engagement had been successful, the real test was yet to come. All units, prepare for Phase 2 operations, he ordered. Enemy main force is 12 hours out and will likely have adapted their tactics based on this engagement. Stay alert and maintain formation integrity. In the aftermath of the battle, as debris from the destroyed Zarathi ships drifted through space, the political landscape of the galaxy had fundamentally changed. The species that had dismissed humanity as primitive, newcomers now found themselves looking to Earth for leadership and protection. Ambassador Rodriguez activated her communication system to send a message back to Earth. Phoenix Base, this is Ambassador Rodriguez. Phase 1 operations successful. Council cooperation confirmed. Proceeding with Phase 2 integration protocols. The response came back immediately from President Foster herself. Understood, Ambassador. The galaxy is watching what happens next. Make sure they understand that Earth keeps its promises to both enemies and allies. As human ships took up patrol positions around the rescued alien worlds, it became clear to everyone in the galaxy that a new era had begun. The age of human deference to alien authority was over. The age of human leadership in galactic affairs had begun, and it had been earned through preparation, sacrifice, and the willingness to stand guard while others slept. The stars themselves seemed different now, filled with human ships carrying the responsibility of protecting not just Earth, but every living world in the galaxy. They had mocked Earth for missing meetings, but when the real test came, it was thousands of human warships that stood between civilization and destruction.